Hi, I am Otmar and this is Watches and Tea. So today we have a Seiko 5. This is actually the first ever mechanical watch that I bought. It is from eBay, from an Indian seller, and they sell loads of these Seiko 5 watches. I think they just take an old movement, then fix it up, polish it, grab a nice new band, new glass on it, and then just resell it. While this watch is running, and it's running actually pretty good, today we're gonna take a look at the inside of it, see what I think of it, see what I come across, and in the end you will know if you need to buy Seiko watches from this Indian eBay reseller. So first impressions of this watch is that it's actually a pretty good mechanical watch. It is running, the bands are very stiff. The crystal is pretty thick, as you can see, and actually this should have come, I think, with a flat crystal, and this is a sort of a bulb one, so this is not how it originally would have looked like, but yeah, only the inside is original, and the case, I think, the rest is pretty much, from somewhere else. And talking about somewhere else, this movement came from India. It took about 3 months to get to the Netherlands, where I live, and then it was stuck in customs for 5 months, I think. So this took over half a year to get to me, and I haven't been really impressed with it. I don't like wearing it. I don't think it looks good on my wrist. It looks a bit small, it looks a bit cheap, and yeah, I don't really like it. I bought this because it was easy to buy this watch, it was cheap, and I figured, like, hey, if I don't like this watch, at least I can start servicing it and see what it looks like on the inside. And yes, we're gonna do that today. So we are gonna open it up. I sort of cheated a little bit, but we're gonna get to that. As you can see, the date is still working. This is a fully functional watch, but yeah, not really a looker. I don't really look at it on my wrist, and I'm proud that I'm wearing this watch. So let's open this watch up and see what's inside. It comes off really easy, but then again, I said I was cheating, and yeah, here it goes. I already opened it up and I already messed it up a bit, but we're gonna come to that. So you see I'm wearing my finger cuts here. I wasn't in the last video, they weren't in yet. And here I am looking at the big oscillating weight that is actually winding the watch up when you're moving around as part of the automatic winding. So very nice. And here you can actually see that there is no gasket. There should be a rubber ring around the movement and the watch case, so it doesn't get ingress of water. But yeah, there is no such thing here. So they just didn't replace or put in a rubber ring to put out water. Which is not really a good thing, but then again, I'm not planning to wear this in the rain. This is sort of a study watch for me now, so I'll just leave it in as I'm taking away the oscillating weight. And here the crown and crown stem come out. I needed to push a little button over there, and that button shouldn't be black, so that's not really good. And then to my amazement, the movement just pops right out. No case screws, nothing like that. It's just held in by the crown stem, which again is not really a good thing, but yeah, it's holding up. And here you can see the dial. It has a slight sunburst on it. And yes, the rest is just printed. So now we can remove the hands from the dial. I have this new Presto tool. It's the China one. And I'm not using plastic here. I should use a plastic sheet between the dial and the dial hands. And I scratched it, of course. So if you see a YouTuber using plastic here, you should as well. And I thought I could get away with not doing it. And I was wrong again. But yeah, you win some, you lose some. So now let's take the dial out of it. Oh my god, they used glue. Ugh. This is This is nasty. They just glued the dial to the movement. Ugh. Yuck. And here you can see the days of the week and the date dial. It's 2 languages, which is cool. And now I'm taking off the part of the automatic winding works. And as I am disassembling this further, maybe this is a good moment to tell what I already did on this watch and how I messed it up maybe a little bit. So I opened this. This was the first thing that I ever opened up. And if you don't know, this is the second time I'm servicing a watch. So yeah, I'm pretty much a noob. And I opened this up, tried to lubricate some of the jewels, and I lost a spring. So what we're actually going to do right here is take apart this whole movement, which I already lubricated a lot of the points of, and I got a donor movement in, and we're going to replace the part that I messed up. And it's going to be a bit different than I was planning to, but you'll see that in a moment. And here I'm inspecting and I found a part. This is the click spring, which is a bit unusual on these Seiko watches. And if you look at the right of it, it has some corrosion on there. Oh, dropped it. So let's hope the donor movement has a better click spring in it. So now we are gonna remove the main barrel. I'm not gonna touch it. I don't have the oils for it and don't have a replacement spring or anything. I do know that this watch will run for more than 24 hours on a full wind, so I'm pretty happy with just not touching the mainspring for now. And as I'm removing the train of wheels, notice that I'm not at all memorizing where they go, which is gonna bite me in the behind again, just like last time. So now I'm gonna remove the pellet fork bridge. And this watch is very well put together. I like how they solve the problem of putting in a train of wheels and the pellet fork. It's very compact. Looks really good. But I was thrown off a bit that the pellet fork is actually really close to the escape wheel. And here the pellet fork comes out, which is just so tiny. Pretty cool. So now I turn the movement over and I'm trying to get off these dials, these date dials and weekday dials. And I'm running into a problem. My new Presto tool doesn't seem to work. Now, experienced watchmakers, please look away because I made a critical error here. Yeah, I cannot get this to open, so what else to do but brute force it? So I try my tweezers, I try pliers, which is not a good thing. If you're into watchmaking and you're trying pliers, you should stop. But yeah, eventually I do get it off, and only then do I notice what I have done. So there was no rust, nothing was stuck. I was just pulling on a part very forcefully that didn't need to be forced at all. So on the top of it there's a clip which I should have pried off, and then the whole thing comes apart. And now I bent some of these wheels here, which is not a good thing, again. So it's a very good thing that we have a donor watch. I can try and pry away the date wheel on that watch in a good manner and then use that parts in this one. But these parts are not that bent. I think I could get away with bending them in the right place, but I am gonna use the donor movement, I think. So here we have the keyless works a little bit opened up more, and you can see right where the stem should be, there's some blackness. So this watch has seen some water ingress through the stem, which is again not good. So next up are these two wheelie bit parts. I bent one, and they're kind of strange because they're a whole thing that's sort of together. So that wheel is sort of stamped together with the plate, so I can't remove them further. pretty unusual design, but yeah, pretty cool that they done that. Now we can remove the blackened part. So that screw is totally black. Oh, and that jumps away. Luckily it landed on my bench, so yeah, that doesn't look good. It has seen some water damage, not that much, it's a little bit black. And here is another spring and another part. And that is sort of the click of the stem. And just notice again that I am not putting much time and effort into where these parts should go on the watch, which is gonna bite me in the behind. But luckily I do have this recording, so I can watch it back. But I do think that I should put more effort into remembering where everything goes. It would be much simpler, much easier, and way quicker than re-looking this video. And so the last part to come out is this plastic wheel. There are some people that don't like Seiko because they put plastic wheels in their movements. I don't think it's that much of an issue. This wheel is probably, I don't know, 40 years old and it's still fine. And with that out of the way, here is our donor movement. As you can see, it's missing a couple of hands. It's in pretty rough shape and it's not even running, but I do think it just needs a surface for it to be running. So I'm not going to bore you with the disassembly of this movement. All you need to know is that it takes up a lot of space because now I have two movements open and I'm working on a limited capacity bench slash workspace here. So it's getting quite full. But yeah, I do get this open pretty easy. So let's move to the part where the date wheel needs to come off and do it properly this time. And here's the date and the week wheel. And the week wheel is a bit different than the other one. I think it was English and German, and this is English and Roman numerals. So I looked on YouTube, and what you need to do is there's this C-clamp that you should be able to undo with a small screwdriver. And the video told me that it could spring away, so I'm using a piece of Rotoco here so it doesn't spring away on me. And it comes right off. So progress, we've learned something and we've done something different. And now that plate comes off like it should, and now there is no broken parts here. And the rest of the disassembly is basically the same. Only thing to note is that in the bottom left there is no rust. So we can use the keyless works from this movement and put it into our other movement, and it will make it prettier. Now that we removed every part from both of the watches, I discovered something, that these movements are actually not the same movement. So if you look over here, you will see that the middle of the left plate has 3 jewels and the right plate has 1 jewel and 2 regular metal holes, which is not ideal. So it might be that the bottom part of that pivot has a jewel in it and the top part has a metal insert in it, which is not ideal, but we'll probably have to make do because I've lost part of the spring assembly of the left part or the left movement. It's a bit complicated, but we will use the right part. So now finally we have 2 movements all apart and we can reassemble them. And here's a quick montage of the hour it took me to put the train of wheels and the pallet fork back in order again. I didn't know how they were supposed to go, so I had to look at recordings, had to look at YouTube. Yeah, it was a bit of a mess, and I've done this before, so yeah. I just need to pay closer attention when taking things apart. But look at this. Oh, there's some life in there. Now this is without a mainspring that is wound, so yes, this movement is working, the train of wheels is incorrectly, the balance is in. So this should be okay. So now we can move over to oiling all of these jewels in the correct manner. And I realized something, that this is the part that I screwed up last time. And then I remembered, there's always tea. Yes, I can do this. So now it is time to bask in the glory of my new microscope. This is so much better than the old one. I'm really happy with the quality of the video here. And here we have the main culprit of the day. It is a DiaShock spring. These can be tricky to remove. I've never done it, but I watched someone on YouTube doing it, so that's basically the same, right? So I should be an expert, and this should be just one try, and afterwards I can probably write a book about how to remove DiaShock springs. But no, it's pretty tricky. And it's almost there. I have to turn it all the way around. So it has like these 3 tabs, and they all need to line up in the hole. And this spring can fly away like very far if it wants to. So that's why I'm holding it together with 2 sticks. And oh, there it goes. Ooh. If I lose this part, it's so tiny, I will never find it again. There's a piece of Rotico. Oh, yes. We've done it. Have to take the jewel out. Yes, I just removed the jewel, so the bottom part is still in there. And there goes the bottom part. Very nice. Now I should warn you about the next part. Microscope images can be really disturbing. Just look at this Rotico. It is so dirty, there's hair in there and it just looks yuck. But if you see it in real life, it just looks normal. So here I'm trying to oil this jewel. I saw some YouTube videos, so that makes me an expert, right? So here you can see that I put it way too much to the north, to the top, so I need to rinse this and do it over. So let's try again. Steady. Yeah, it should be about 30 to 50%. This is a little bit too much. Let's try again. So I rinsed it. Here we go. Too much at the top, not centered. Try again. Here we go. Let's see if we can get it to work. Not really centered. Not that bad. I think I'll use this. Not 100% how it should be, but then again, this is my second movement. So let's go. Now we can put the jewel back into its socket. And a slight tap. A little more. Yeah. It is in. And now it is time to put the shock protection back in. And this is going to be a hard one. And this is a very tense moment. If this shock springs away, I will probably never find it again. It is just so tiny. And I did grab some tea just before doing this, so don't worry about that. But yeah, let's try and get it in. So we first need to put one leg into the slot and then slide it over. Yes, there goes one. I'm feeling like a doctor here who does an operation on a patient via a monitor. I'm looking at the microscope here, so I'm not looking at the movement itself. And there it springs out of it, but I pushed it back in. So this is a win. So the second leg. Oh, yeah, I missed it. Try again. I seem to have put it in. Very careful. Last one. Oh. Wow. Just look at that. We've done it. But at the bottom, there's the same jewel. So I'll speed it up a bit here because you've already seen it. But just remember that I'm still very nervous about this. And this is really a fiddly job. And these jewels are so small. The piece of wood that you're seeing on the left is a toothpick. And it's an extra fine toothpick. It is very small. And after removing the jewel, I obviously first try oiling off this jewel. It didn't take me like 5 tries. There's no video of it, so just first try. And then we can put it back in. And be extremely afraid the whole time. But eventually I manage it. There we go. So now we can oil the jewels, the other jewels. There goes one drop. And one over here. Oh, look at that. Pretty lights. Nice. And let's not forget these weird steel jewels. They need some oil as well. I think I put a bit too much in the bottom one. And I'm not really accurate with that one, but yeah, I'll take it. And the last one for now. Again, not really pretty, but it will do. So let's move over to the keyless works. I'm already a few components in here. This took a long time. I think I cut about 2 hours of video before this point because I was lost where to put everything. And I needed to check my videos. I even checked some YouTube videos of people putting together this exact movement. So that was pretty helpful. And yeah, I also have 2 different sets of parts. I have the old watch and the donor movement. So I have a lot of stuff lying around and I need to grab like this part from the old one, this part from the donor watch. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess. So let's continue on the keyless works. We have some wheels to put in. That should be on. And there goes another part. It's another wheel. I already put the canyon pinion in. And that wheel comes out a little bit. Do I need to force it down? I shouldn't force it down. It should just slide right in. Why is it not fitting? Yeah, just put the other wheel in. No, I did check if it was okay, and it was okay, so I put a little bit of oil in there. And then this weird looking thing goes in with the wheel attached. I think this is my favorite part of the watch. It just looks so weird. I like it. No, wasn't seated correctly. Let's try again. That should... it's the hole over there. Yeah. Should be alright. Yeah, it's alright. So now we need to put the screw in. There's lots of screws on this movement, and remember that there's 2 watches here, so there's 2 screws for everything. I did put them together, but it can be a bit hard. And let's see, now it should work. So if I pull it out, oh, cool. Now you can get to see how this works. So now I'm moving the time, I think. And now I'm winding the mainspring. And the time again. And the days. Cool, do you see how these little cogs move together? Really cool. And now we can put the date ring back on. Yeah. It's a little bit tricky where it should be. And it's held together by the other plates that are coming up next. I'm skipping ahead a bit. There's some more plates on here. I'm turning that stem again. I just love how these cogs work and how this just generally all works. Oh, there you can see. It's moving the time and the date as well. Yes. So everything seems to work. I lost some footage of this assembly. I put the movement down too much to the bottom of the screen so you couldn't see it. But everything seems to be working. Cool. And now for some reason I turned it around while the watch was running and installed a plate that does the automatic winding. So the automatic winding works. I haven't disassembled this because the first time that I opened this movement I took it apart and oiled up everything in there. That's part of the thing that I was trying to do with my first opening of a watch. The oscillating weight wasn't moving that freely, so I thought, oh, this will be easy. I'll just take out the automatic movement, oil it up a bit, will be a nice sort of starter thing to do. But I ended up taking everything out on this side, like the whole balance, and I think I let the pellet fork in, but yeah, what I intended to be a really small, short and easy fix ended up being a really long one. Took me a couple of hours. And yeah, but you know, I did think I learned a lot. There's people that want to do things and never do them because they're afraid of making mistakes. And I make mistakes here all the time. And then I get to share them with you, which is also fun. And here I check the bearings to see if they're still spinning. And it seems like they are. So now we can do a battle because the oscillating weights in the 2 movements are different as well. So on the left we have the original one, and on the right we have the new one of the donor movement. So which one should I use? Place your comment below. No, I'll just put in the old one. I think it looks a little bit better. It has this cool graining on it, so I'll use that. Now we can put in the weak wheel. Yeah, that looks okay. I used the weak wheel of the donor movement. I think the Roman numerals are pretty cool. And my German isn't that good. And here's the C-clip that we forgot when we opened this watch up the first time. And here we have the dial with the glue still on it. I couldn't replace it or something. It needs to be glued. Looks alright. And then we can put the hands on the movement, which is always a bit fiddly. I'm using metal pliers here. You shouldn't do that. I did order some plastic ones, but they were still in. So as this is a watch with a date dial, you need to put the watch at 12 o'clock. So I moved the watch. Oh, there's a second hand and it's running. It's always nice to see. Yeah, so as I was saying, you need to put the date to just midnight and then put the hands in at midnight, otherwise it won't work. But yeah, just a final test. It seems to be working all right, so we can case it up, which just means that we need to take the stem and the ground out and then put it back into the case. Obviously I dusted all of this off before I'm doing this, so everything should be clean and nice. So one other cool thing is that during the assembly of this watch I finally got my time grapher in, so we can put this watch under the time grapher. So here it's starting up. And there it goes. 11 seconds, 16 seconds. So it should be behind 16 seconds a day, or 14 now. It's not too bad. Why isn't it putting up the rest of the numbers? So amplitude 160, beat error 2 milliseconds. Not really nice, but doable. And the next day with some tweaking, I get it down to this. So beat error of 2.2 milliseconds and 2 seconds of day behind with an amplitude of 206, which is pretty nice. And I'm happy with that. So we fixed up the watch that I messed up. And I should give you a conclusion if you should buy Indian Seiko 5 watches from eBay. No, I don't think it is worth the money and it's worth the time. This took a long time to get to my house. Quality is not really nice. I think for that price you can get some nice Chinese watches, which are probably the same price, but better quality. The parts are easier to get as well. This is an old movement and the parts are difficult to get. So no, wouldn't recommend it. Doesn't look really good. And just get something else. I can't really recommend you something to get right now. That's probably something that I'm gonna address in a future video. I already have some watches lying around that I want to check out, but they will be in the future. So if you've made it this far, remember to subscribe and like and do all of that. And yeah, really helps out. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.